Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Joffrey Noodle Legs here today with a Noodle film review. And today we're looking at a 1970s Australian film, which I picked up, which is called Picnic at Hanging Rock. Now this is the second sight limited edition collector's edition about this film. Now this film is a I'm trying to class it for you. I would class it as a family mystery horror film, because it's got all the sort of elements of a mystery with some form of horror elements to it, but is sort of like can be accepted by any family member. It is only a PG, but that doesn't stop it from being horrifying. If you think about films like the amazing Mr. Blunden, which was a certificate U, I believe, but was still quite horrifying, this is similar, and it's a wonderful tale. Well, it's not a wonderful tale. It's a very sad and disturbing kind of tale, really, but it's a wonderful story, based in sort of like Australia in the sort of 1900s, and it's all based around a college, a college for girls, like a girls' sort of school or a convent sort of thing, you know, where all these sort of girls sort of all brought up and sort of lived and were educated and very quite strict as well. And the story is based around the girls and the teachers at the school. But before we delve into that, let's have a little look at this edition. This is amazing artwork on this film. It's so wonderfully sort of like set out. And the cover is Miranda, one of the girls in the film. It's a great set, so let's have a look inside it for you. You know, I like to show you the these collector's editions, because they're worth looking at. Right, so it comes with, first of all, let me just take this card off if I can, off these art cards. I do try to keep these cards, but I mean papers, but they're so tight. I just wish they designed a new way of doing this with like possibly like a bag, put the art cards in the bag. Anyway, that's off. So the film is, the collection comes with 4 discs. Have a look for you. Let's open it up. So we got a 4K edition, another 4K disc, a Blu-ray disc, and another Blu-ray disc, which I kind of wished that one of those Blu-ray discs was the soundtrack. And it comes with an amazing sort of more sort of artwork at the back of the disc, which is cool. Yeah, I wish the soundtrack would have been in there, because the soundtrack in this film is phenomenal, absolutely amazing. It's almost like its own character, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This set also comes with Joan Lindsay's novel, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and so this is the actual novel. So it comes with the book. Let's pop that in. It comes with another booklet with essays and sort of making of, more astonishing sort of artwork. And it's got loads of sort of stories about the characters of the film. I recognise some of the actresses in the film and stuff, because this was the 1970s, and I believe a couple of them are from 1970s Australian kind of sitcoms like the Sullivans and that, and I recognise some of them from that. But this is an amazing huge book about the making of, which is fantastic. So you get the novel, a massive booklet of the making of, which is absolutely incredible, and it comes with some art cards. Let me get those for you, which again are stunning. There's the cover of the artwork, and these are all almost like paintings, aren't they? You know, absolutely stunning. So you've got some there of the new commissioned artwork, and you've got some of the actual art cards from the movie. And they're all so stunning, absolutely stunning. Amazing boxing. So the box set alone, I would score it as a 10 out of 10. It's just fantastic. It's definitely one of Second Sight's greatest box sets, I think, and they've done some amazing box sets. But yeah, absolutely incredible. Yeah, so as I was saying, the music in the film, it's absolutely stunning. It's just like a character on its own. And another aspect of the film, which is just like a character of its own, is the cinematography. The way the film is shot is just absolutely stunning. And this 4K version, it wowed me. And I have to say, I think it's one of the best looking 4K films I've ever seen. It's stunning. It's a 5 out of 5 when it comes to picture quality. It's absolutely stunning and amazing. And it's just so well crafted. It's an amazing crafted movie, and it's all well shot. It's a very, there's no action scenes, guys. There's um or stuff like that. Yes, this is a horror film, but there's no out and out horror that will scare you, frighten you, or will just, you know, disgust you or anything like that. It's a horror film where it's based on a mystery, um, and I think it's so well crafted, the story, that it kind of, it draws you in, and you just can't. You just want to see what happens, and it's so wonderfully filmed and amazingly acted that you just want to see what's going to happen. And as a piece of art form, it's incredible, absolutely amazing. And the story of these girls at this sort of strict kind of like girls sort of college school, and the headmistress who plays an amazing part, but she's quite very strict, and all the teachers are sort of very strict except one who appears to be like a French woman who seems to have more of a closer bond with the girls, and sort of relates to them a lot more. And obviously some of the staff that work at this school, like the sort of cleaners or the maids, that they also relate well to the girls. But if you think of like Dario Argento Suspiria, the way like the headmistress was at that school there's that sort of strictness going on here with these young girls, you know, where they had to sit up straight, and they had to read poetry, and they weren't allowed to write poetry of their own, you know, because it was almost blasphemous sort of thing, you know. It was kind of that sort of way of bringing up. And anyway, they get this special day where it's a Valentine's Day in the year 1900, and they get to go to Hanging Rock for a picnic. Now, Hanging Rock, well, I think the history of this, like, it's like a huge sort of rock boulder. Um, I wouldn't class it as a hill or mountain. It's more like like a big boulder rock, but it's sort of like supposed to be sort of volcanic and like millions of years old, and it's like a place of sort of mystery. Anyway, so the girls are allowed to go there with a couple of the teachers, um, and they get to go there the for the picnic. And when they arrive there, they all seem to be happy. They drive through the town. The town is, this is all based in 1900, so it's all Victorian time. So it's like the British colonisation of Australia. So it's an Australian film, but it's very British at its heart. You know, where you see like families out at the Rock, where they're having picnics and all having tea, rather sort of thing, and there's a couple of lads there that we meet who are also there with their families, um, enjoying this sort of area. And anyway, the girls arrived there and they seem to be enjoying themselves, sort of like reading poetry and sort of talking and all this sort of thing, and having a bit of a nice time, probably get away from the hard sort of like strictness of the school. So they tend to be there and enjoying themselves. Um, and a couple of, I suppose, kind of rebel girls, if you like, want to have a little venture into the Rock itself and have a little look around the Rock. And the teacher's not really paying much attention. And the French teacher's like, yeah, go and enjoy yourself, but be safe and don't go too far. So these four girls go wandering off around the Rock. Now, you get lots of sort of visual shots of the hanging rock, and if you look really carefully at the rock, it almost looks the way the sort of like the rock sort of shaped and chipped, that there's faces on these sort of rocks. That's what I saw when I saw it, and it kind of looked like that. And you have this really eerie music or sounds playing in the background, like winds and stuff like that. Um, which is quite haunting. Anyway, these girls go exploring through the rock, and the further they venture into this sort of rocky mounted area, the more sort of strange they become almost, and they start doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like taking their stockings off and their shoes. That's not allowed. The only permission they had was to take their gloves off. That sort of strictness. But they started to do that, and one of the girls didn't want to sort of take part in this, and she kept telling them to stop and all this. But they just carried on, and then the three of them sort of wander in further into the rock without their shoes and socks on, and they disappear. We don't see them, apart from the one girl that doesn't want to get involved. She starts screaming like mad, um, like she's seen something, but can't explain what. And we don't know, because you don't see anything apart from the girls enjoying the rock and climbing around, and then they're just sort of gone, disappeared. And the story sort of goes on from that, where they go back to the school without the three, and the three girls are missing, and one of the teachers, not the French teacher, but one of the stricter ones, the one that I think I've seen in the Sullivans. She's disappeared as well. And so they all go back to the school, and the headmistress, says, well, what's happened? And they say that the teacher and three of the students, Miranda and a couple of the other girls, have gone missing. And so then the police come in and get involved, and their sort of investigation goes on around the mysterious disappearance of these children, these girls, and the woman, and the lads that we saw in the film. One of them, because these two lads saw the girls, and they were talking about how beautiful and that they were, and one of them really took a shine to Miranda, the blonde looking girl, and he goes around looking for them through the rock himself, and he also experiences a strange experience, and he's sort of like semi unconscious, and he's kind of dragging himself around the rock sort of thing. So there's something almost magnetic or hypnotic about this rock that is uh, unexplainable. And this is where the horror comes into it, because you can't explain what on earth's going on, and these kids are gone missing. Now, the lad's okay, but he's never the same. He's quite quiet and withdrawn. And so are the girls back at the school. They all act a little bit differently, a little bit more withdrawn, and stuff like that. And there's lots of searches going on around the rock, with the police searching for these missing children and that. And then they find one of the girls who's still alive, and she comes back and she can't remember anything. and she is sort of still devastated that the friends are gone, but she can't remember anything. And apparently she's an orphan, and I think that the head teacher wants her to go back to the orphanage, and all these sort of bizarre things happening. Um, and then, sort of like near the climax of the film, strange sort of things start happening at school. Suicides happen, and all this kind of thing happen. It's a really strange sort of film, but incredible. The story is really compelling. So, do they find these girls? What on earth? Where have they gone? Are they dead? Are they alive? Um, is there some sort of supernatural thing going on around this hanging rock? What is the history of this hanging rock? Has that got anything to do with what they're missing of these girls? Um, and what impact is it going to have on the whole sort of like community in that area? You need to watch it and find out, because that's all I'm going to tell you about the film. What do I think about Picnic at Hanging Rock? It's amazing. It's it's probably one of the best Australian films I think I've ever seen. It's incredible. It just grabs you. Yes, and nothing happens in the film. You know, it's when I say nothing happens, you don't. There's no fight scenes. There's no action scenes. There's no gore. There's no um, visual sort of killings, if you like. Um, but it grabs you, and the story is quite mysterious and horrifying at the same time. These beautiful young girls at this school that have gone out for a picnic have disappeared, and no one ever knows what's happened to them. And it's like the mystery just carries on, and there's search parties and everything looking for them, and there's no sign of them. Nobody knows what's happened, and it's absolutely eerie and terrifying. And the music is it almost plays out like a character, like the cinema photography. It's like a character on its own. The way it's shot is so beautiful. It's like watching a moving oil painting. In some cases, it's so amazingly shot, and the 4K transfer is crisp, and the colours are vibrant, and it looks absolutely stunning. It's an amazing film. I'll probably watch this again because there's different versions on here. I think that's why I've got so many discs in it, and there's going to be quite a few extra features on these discs, which, as you can see, there's a fair amount on there, which I'm not going to go through now because this video is already nearly 20 minutes long. Because I've got so much to say about the film. It's just incredibly shot. It's so great. Now, the pluses of the film, like I've said to you, the transfer is amazing. It looks stunning. It's one of the best 4K films I've ever seen. Out of all modern films, this is spot on. The acting is stellar. It's really well acted and believable. It's really, really cool. The story is incredible. It's amazing. It's a very classical kind of tale. You can tell it's from a novel because it's all like a Victorian novel. It plays out like a Victorian novel, and it's fantastic. The minuses of the film, um, difficult to say. I want to know what's happened to the girls, you know what I mean? And that's the thing you don't know, sort of thing. And that's the kind of thing that, I don't say it's a negative, but it's, I've come away wanting to know what's happened to them and stuff like that. But it's amazing. So I've got to score it, guys, as an essential watch and give it a 10 out of 10. Although I'm giving this 10 out of 10, it's not going to be for all of you. I know a lot of you horror fans out there like your horror to be, oh, it's got to be gory, it's got to be all this sort of thing. To me, horror is not about that, you know. And to me, horror has so many different sort of meanings to me. A horror can be like this, where it's story. It's the story it's terrifying. Or it can be um, the way the film is set and the way it's sort of visually telling you the horror. You know, so horror means different things to different people and different times. When I watch a slasher, I want it to be really badly acted, and I want it to be really cheesy. And that's why I love slasher films, my favourites. And then I like a nice serious story where it's not got to have any action in and the story alone can just be terrifying, you know, like. And then I like horror films that are very, very slow burn films, because I think it's giving you that to draw you in. They're not slow burn because they're trying to drag the movie out. They're trying to pull you into the story, to the characters. A lot of people miss that, and you'll get a lot of horror reviews. Oh, it's so slow, nothing really happens. Well, because you're not taking it in properly. Um, you're missing the whole point of that film. It's meant to be like that. You're supposed to be drawn into the story, to the film, to the characters, and then that's when you see the horror, because you start to like the characters. You start to understand what's going on, the environment, the time, place, the actual area. You get to see all that and know that when you're watching the film, and that's when the horror comes in, because you start to feel the effects of these poor people going through. You know, so that is one version of horror on its own. But then you can have your slashers, which can be silly and daft, which are amazing, you know. And so that's the beauty of horror, and I absolutely adore that. And this one goes down to the story, like The Witch, the film The Witch. Nothing happens really in that, does it? But the story grabs you, and it's so haunting and scary. This is not scary, but it's haunting and mysterious. So it's a really cool film. Really glad I've got this in my collection. This is going in my display cabinet. It's a stunning set, and I might even, lo and behold, take out that novel and read the book of it. We'll see. But that is Picnic at Hanging Rock, 10 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you thought of it. It's something completely different for the horror genre, and that's what I love about it. It's directed by Peter Weir, who's done some quite graphic sort of films in the early 70s, and he's now come up with this amazing film. I can't remember the year that this was made in, but it was definitely going to be sort of like 75, between 70 and 75. It's the early 70s, but it looks stellar and amazing. Such a good film. Guys, till my next video, please go and check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzawell, I'm the Ice Lord, Sarah of Horror, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House, and of course a massive shout out to my lad Lemon Lord. Look after yourselves, guys.